How often do we find ourselves caught in a web of limiting beliefs, convinced that our potential is limited? These beliefs can be incredibly subtle but powerful, dictating our actions, shaping our choices, and often preventing us from pursuing our dreams. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in psychology, spent much of his life exploring the unconscious mind and its role in personal growth. His teachings offer invaluable insights into understanding and overcoming the limiting beliefs that hold us back from realizing our true potential. Limiting beliefs are not always immediately visible. Often they are ingrained in the fabric of our psyche, built over years of social conditioning, past experiences, and societal expectations. These beliefs may stem from childhood, from moments of failure, or even from messages we receive from others. However, no matter their origin, limiting beliefs limit our growth, keeping us tethered to a version of ourselves that is less than who we truly are. Overcoming these limiting beliefs is essential for real personal growth, allowing us to step into our power and achieve the life we desire. Carl Jung's work on the unconscious mind, particularly his concepts of the shadow and individuation, provides a framework for understanding how we develop these limiting beliefs. The shadow, as Jung explained, consists of those aspects of the self that we repress because they are too painful or socially unacceptable to face. These repressed parts of our psyche, if left unacknowledged, can manifest as limiting beliefs and behavioral patterns that prevent us from achieving our fullest potential. Individuation, on the other hand, is the process by which we integrate the unconscious aspects of ourselves with our conscious mind, ultimately leading to personal transformation. It is a process of becoming whole and embracing all aspects of who we are. Through individuation, we break free from the shackles of limiting beliefs and step into a more authentic, empowered version of ourselves. This article will explore how limiting beliefs develop, how they manifest in our daily lives, and how we can break free from them by applying Carl Jung's psychological insights. By recognizing the signs of limiting beliefs, we can begin the process of self-discovery, confronting our shadows and ultimately achieving real personal growth. Each section will delve into a specific sign of limiting beliefs, illustrating how these beliefs operate in our lives and providing practical steps for breaking free from them. Through this journey, we will see that personal growth is not just about achieving external success, but about deepening our understanding of ourselves and our unconscious motivations. By doing so, we open the door to limitless potential, unlocking a life that is more aligned with our true selves. Whether it's overcoming fear, challenging negative self-talk, or stepping beyond our comfort zones, breaking free from limiting beliefs is the key to achieving lasting transformation and embracing a more fulfilling life. The feeling of being stuck. The feeling of being stuck in life is a common experience that many of us encounter at some point. This sense of stagnation typically arises from internal barriers that we are either unaware of or reluctant to confront. At its core, this feeling is often a direct result of limiting beliefs, those unconscious thoughts that tell us what we are capable of achieving and what we aren't. These beliefs can trap us in a cycle of inaction where we feel like we're running in place, unable to move forward. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, introduced the concept of the shadow, which refers to the unconscious part of ourselves that holds repressed feelings, desires, and memories. According to Jung, when we suppress certain aspects of our personality or experiences, they don't just vanish. They become hidden in the shadow and influence our actions in ways we may not fully understand. The feeling of being stuck is often a manifestation of this shadow. It is as if we are trapped by the very parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. Breaking free from the feeling of being stuck begins with self-awareness. The first step in overcoming this limitation is acknowledging that we feel stagnant and then identifying the underlying beliefs that are holding us back. By embracing the shadow and confronting these repressed aspects, we open the door to true transformation. This process of self-discovery allows us to shed old patterns and behaviors that no longer serve us, creating space for new growth and opportunities. One practical approach to breaking free from feeling stuck is journaling. Writing about your emotions, fears, and experiences can help bring unconscious thoughts to the surface. In this way, you begin to recognize the limiting beliefs that have been silently influencing your decisions. Once identified, these beliefs can be challenged and redefined, enabling you to move beyond them. Another key aspect of breaking free from stagnation is taking action, even if it's just small steps. Jung believed that true growth comes from confronting discomfort and stepping outside of our usual patterns. By pushing yourself to take that first step, no matter how small, you begin to disrupt the cycle of inertia and invite new possibilities into your life. The feeling of being stuck is not a permanent state, but a sign that deeper, unconscious patterns need attention. By recognizing the shadow within and taking deliberate action, we can transform this feeling into an opportunity for personal growth and self-empowerment. Number 2, self-doubt and fear of failure. Self-doubt and the fear of failure are two of the most pervasive, limiting beliefs that hinder personal growth. They often go hand in hand, creating a cycle of hesitation and inaction. Self-doubt creeps in when we question our abilities, talents, or worth. It tells us that we are not capable of achieving our goals or succeeding in the things that matter most to us. The fear of failure, meanwhile, prevents us from taking risks or trying new things because we are afraid of falling short. These beliefs can paralyze us, leaving us stuck in a pattern of indecision and regret. Carl Jung's psychological framework offers profound insights into these feelings of self-doubt and fear. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming the person we are meant to be, highlights how these limiting beliefs are often rooted in the unconscious mind. According to Jung, the ego, the conscious part of our psyche, has a tendency to overestimate the importance of external validation, resulting in a fragile sense of self-worth that depends on success or failure in the eyes of others. This external validation creates a cycle of insecurity. We tie our self-esteem to external outcomes, and when those outcomes are not as expected, we experience self-doubt and fear. Jung's idea of shadow work offers a solution. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we have repressed because they don't fit our idealized self-image. These repressed aspects often include emotions such as fear, insecurity, and shame, emotions we try to avoid or deny. By confronting the shadow and integrating these hidden aspects into our conscious self, we can break free from the crippling cycle of self-doubt and fear. To break free from self-doubt and fear of failure, we must first learn to embrace imperfection. Jung believed that individuation requires us to confront our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, not ignore them. Rather than striving for perfection or avoiding failure, we must accept that setbacks and mistakes are a natural part of the growth process. When we begin to view failure as a stepping stone to success rather than an end point, we start to shift our mindset. By reframing failure as an opportunity for learning, we release the grip that fear has over us. Another crucial step in overcoming self-doubt is developing self-compassion. Often self-doubt arises from harsh self-criticism. We may be quick to judge ourselves for not being good enough or for making mistakes. Jung emphasized the importance of accepting both our strengths and weaknesses. By practicing self-compassion and treating ourselves with the same kindness that we would extend to a friend, we can start to break down the walls of self-doubt. Jung also believed in the power of self-reflection as a tool for transformation. Through practices like journaling or meditation, we can begin to observe our thoughts and emotions from a distance without judgment. This process helps us identify patterns of self-doubt and fear, allowing us to challenge and replace them with more empowering beliefs. Finally, taking action is crucial in overcoming fear and self-doubt. Even small steps in the direction of your goals will build confidence and diminish the power of limiting beliefs. Jung believed that growth occurs when we push ourselves beyond our comfort zones. By taking risks and facing challenges, we create new experiences that show us our true capabilities, reducing the grip of self-doubt and fear. Breaking free from self-doubt and fear of failure is an ongoing process. It requires self-awareness, self-compassion, and a willingness to face discomfort. By embracing imperfection, reframing failure, and taking deliberate action, we can dismantle these limiting beliefs and unlock our true potential. With time and practice, we can begin to move forward with confidence, trusting in our ability to succeed, grow, and transform. Negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is a powerful and often destructive limiting belief that shapes how we view ourselves and our capabilities. It is that constant inner critic that tells us we are not good enough, smart enough, or worthy of success. This voice can be loud and convincing, often dictating our actions and preventing us from pursuing our goals or dreams. Over time, negative self-talk becomes so ingrained that we may not even notice it, but it continues to shape our reality in ways that hinder personal growth. Carl Jung's exploration of the ego and shadow provides profound insights into why we engage in negative self-talk. According to Jung, the ego is the part of our consciousness that forms our sense of self. It is responsible for our identity, how we perceive ourselves, and how we relate to the world around us. However, the ego is not always aligned with our true self. It is often shaped by external influences such as societal expectations, cultural norms, and past experiences. This misalignment can lead to a distorted self-image, causing us to internalize limiting beliefs and negative self-talk. The shadow plays a crucial role in negative self-talk. Jung argued that the shadow contains the repressed, hidden parts of ourselves, those aspects that we find unacceptable or uncomfortable. When we deny or reject these parts of ourselves, they can manifest in the form of negative thoughts and self-criticism. For example, if we have repressed feelings of insecurity or inadequacy, these emotions may surface as harsh judgments and negative self-talk. The more we suppress these emotions, the louder and more persistent the inner critic becomes. Breaking free from negative self-talk requires a two-pronged approach: self-awareness and self-compassion. The first step is to recognize when negative self-talk arises and identify its underlying cause. Are these thoughts based on reality, or are they products of unconscious fears and insecurities? Jung's concept of self-reflection can help us gain this awareness. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we can begin to see how much of our negative self-talk is tied to unconscious beliefs and past experiences. Once we become aware of the negative thoughts that hold us back, we can begin to challenge and reframe them. This is where the practice of cognitive reframing comes into play. Cognitive reframing involves replacing negative, limiting beliefs with more empowering, supportive thoughts. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough to succeed," we can reframe the thought as, "I have the ability to learn and grow from every experience." Reframing negative self-talk allows us to break the cycle of self-criticism and shift our mindset toward one of self-empowerment. Another essential step in overcoming negative self-talk is practicing self-compassion. Carl Jung believed that true growth occurs when we accept both our strengths and weaknesses. We are all imperfect beings, and it is essential to treat ourselves with kindness, especially when we fail or make mistakes. By practicing self-compassion, we stop berating ourselves for not being perfect, and instead, we embrace our humanity. This shift in perspective helps us let go of the harsh inner critic and replace it with a more nurturing and supportive voice. Incorporating mindfulness practices into our daily routine can also help reduce the impact of negative self-talk. Meditation, for example, allows us to quiet the mind and become more aware of our thought patterns. By regularly practicing mindfulness, we can detach from the negative thoughts that arise and observe them without judgment. This mindfulness practice helps us break free from the cycle of negative self-talk and fosters a more positive, self-affirming mindset. Finally, taking action is a powerful way to counteract negative self-talk. When we step outside our comfort zone and take risks, we begin to challenge the beliefs that we are not capable or worthy. Every small achievement, no matter how minor, reinforces the idea that we can succeed and grow. By consistently taking action, we gradually silence the inner critic and build confidence in our abilities. Negative self-talk is a limiting belief that can hold us back from achieving our potential. However, by becoming aware of these thoughts, reframing them, practicing self-compassion, and taking action, we can break free from the cycle of self-criticism. Through self-reflection and conscious effort, we can shift our mindset and embrace a more positive, empowering inner dialogue that supports our personal growth. Number 4. Comfort zone addiction. One of the most significant barriers to personal growth is our addiction to the comfort zone. The comfort zone is that place where we feel safe and secure, where things are predictable and familiar. While it may seem like a place of rest and relaxation, the comfort zone can actually become a trap. Staying within our comfort zone may shield us from discomfort and risk, but it also limits our potential and keeps us from reaching new heights in life. Our growth stagnates and we miss out on opportunities for transformation. Carl Jung's concept of the persona helps explain why we often prefer the comfort zone. The persona is the outward mask we wear to conform to societal expectations. It represents the image of ourselves that we present to the world, often in an attempt to gain approval or avoid rejection. The persona is not necessarily a false self, but it may become rigid and prevent us from exploring the deeper aspects of our personality and potential. When we become overly attached to the persona, we may avoid stepping outside our comfort zone because it threatens the identity we have built. We may fear that if we step into the unknown, we will lose our sense of self or face rejection. However, Jung believed that true personal growth comes from embracing discomfort and confronting the parts of ourselves that we have repressed. In order to achieve individuation, the process of becoming whole, we must be willing to leave the comfort zone and face the unknown. It is only by challenging ourselves and pushing beyond the boundaries of our persona that we can discover our true selves. Breaking free from comfort zone addiction requires a shift in mindset. Rather than viewing discomfort as something to avoid, we must begin to see it as an opportunity for growth. Every time we step into unfamiliar territory, we expand our sense of self and build new capabilities. The first step in breaking free from the comfort zone is to recognize when we are avoiding growth due to fear or complacency. When we feel the urge to stay within our comfort zone, we should ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? What potential growth am I avoiding? Small, incremental steps are key to overcoming comfort zone addiction. We don't have to make drastic changes all at once. Instead, we can start by introducing small challenges into our daily lives, taking a new route to work, trying a new hobby, or speaking up in a meeting. These small acts of courage can help us gradually expand our comfort zone and build the resilience needed to face more significant challenges. Another effective strategy is to reframe discomfort. Instead of viewing discomfort as a sign that we are failing or doing something wrong, we can reframe it as a sign that we are growing. Growth requires stepping into the unknown, and discomfort is a natural part of the process. By embracing discomfort and seeing it as a stepping stone to growth, we can begin to shift our relationship with it. Lastly, support from others can be incredibly helpful in breaking free from the comfort zone. Surrounding ourselves with people who encourage and challenge us to grow can provide the motivation and confidence needed to take risks. Whether through a mentor, friend, or group, having a support system can make stepping outside our comfort zone feel less intimidating. By recognizing the grip that the comfort zone has on us and intentionally pushing beyond it, we open ourselves to new experiences, greater self-discovery, and deeper personal growth. Through courage and resilience, we can break free from the comfort zone and embrace the discomfort that leads to transformation. No. 5. Blaming external circumstances. Another common limiting belief is the tendency to blame external circumstances for our lack of progress. Whether it's our environment, our upbringing, or the people around us, we often look to external factors to explain why we are not achieving the success or happiness we desire. While it is true that external circumstances can play a role in our lives, continuously blaming them prevents us from taking ownership of our actions and limits our ability to create change. Carl Jung's work on the locus of control provides valuable insight into this phenomenon. According to Jung, we have two primary ways of perceiving control over our lives: an internal locus of control and an external locus of control. Those with an external locus of control tend to attribute their successes or failures to outside forces, such as fate, luck, or other people's actions. On the other hand, those with an internal locus of control believe that they have the power to influence their circumstances through their own actions, decisions, and mindset. Blaming external circumstances is a sign of an external locus of control. It is easy to fall into this trap, especially when things aren't going the way we want them to. We may feel powerless in the face of external challenges and look for something or someone to blame. However, Jung's concept of individuation emphasizes the importance of taking responsibility for our own lives and actions. By adopting an internal locus of control, we begin to recognize that we are the creators of our own experiences and that our thoughts, decisions, and actions shape the reality we live in. Breaking free from the tendency to blame external circumstances requires a shift in perspective. The first step is to take full responsibility for our own lives. Instead of focusing on what is outside of our control, we must focus on what is within our control: our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This shift in mindset allows us to reclaim our personal power and stop feeling like victims of our circumstances. Another critical step is to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth. When things don't go as planned, instead of blaming external factors, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow through this challenge? This shift in perspective helps us see setbacks as stepping stones rather than insurmountable obstacles. Mindfulness and self-reflection are also essential tools in overcoming the habit of blaming. By taking time to reflect on our thoughts and behaviors, we can gain a deeper understanding of why we are prone to blaming external factors. Often this behavior stems from fear, insecurity, or a lack of self-awareness. By practicing mindfulness and becoming more conscious of our thought patterns, we can catch ourselves when we begin to blame and redirect our focus to what we can control. Lastly, taking action is a powerful antidote to blaming external circumstances. When we take proactive steps toward our goals, regardless of external challenges, we begin to shift from a mindset of helplessness to one of empowerment. Action reinforces the belief that we have control over our destiny and that we are capable of creating change, no matter the obstacles. Blaming external circumstances is a limiting belief that keeps us stuck in a victim mindset. By adopting an internal locus of control, reframing challenges as opportunities, and taking responsibility for our actions, we can break free from this belief and unlock our full potential. Personal growth begins with the realization that we are the creators of our own reality. No. 6. Perfectionism and the fear of imperfection. Perfectionism is often seen as a positive trait, one that drives individuals to perform at their highest potential. However, in reality, perfectionism can be a significant limiting belief that inhibits personal growth. The constant pressure to be perfect, to meet unrealistically high standards, or to be flawless in every aspect of life can lead to frustration, burnout, and a fear of failure. Instead of striving for progress, perfectionism often causes us to freeze, stuck in the belief that anything less than perfection is unacceptable. Carl Jung's concept of individuation offers valuable insight into why we fall into the trap of perfectionism. Jung believed that personal growth involves embracing all aspects of the self, including both strengths and weaknesses. Perfectionism, however, often stems from a refusal to accept our imperfections, the parts of ourselves that we perceive as flawed or inadequate. When we focus solely on achieving perfection, we deny these aspects of ourselves, which hinders our ability to grow and evolve. The fear of imperfection is deeply tied to the ego's desire for approval, validation, and control. We often associate perfection with success and believe that being perfect will lead to admiration or love. However, the pursuit of perfection can have the opposite effect. It keeps us from taking risks, learning from mistakes, and experiencing true creativity. As a result, we become trapped in a cycle of self-criticism and anxiety, constantly striving for an ideal that is impossible to reach. To break free from perfectionism, we must begin by embracing imperfection. Jung's theory of wholeness suggests that true growth happens when we accept all parts of ourselves, the good and the bad, the strengths and the weaknesses. Rather than seeing imperfection as a failure, we should view it as a necessary part of the process of becoming whole. Embracing imperfection allows us to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from our experiences, ultimately fostering personal growth. One effective strategy for overcoming perfectionism is to practice self-compassion. Instead of berating ourselves for not being perfect, we must learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. By accepting that we are human and that mistakes are part of the journey, we can release the grip of perfectionism and begin to appreciate the process of growth rather than fixating on the outcome. Another strategy is to set realistic goals and celebrate small victories along the way. Perfectionism often arises from setting unattainable standards, leading to feelings of failure when those standards are not met. By setting achievable goals and celebrating progress, no matter how small, we can shift our focus from perfection to progress. This mindset helps us move forward without the constant fear of imperfection. Finally, it is crucial to redefine success. Success is not about being flawless or perfect, but about learning, evolving, and moving toward our goals with authenticity and courage. By reframing success in terms of personal growth and self-acceptance, we can begin to let go of perfectionism and embrace the messy, imperfect journey of self-discovery. Breaking free from perfectionism requires a shift in perspective, moving from a mindset of fear and control to one of acceptance and growth. By embracing imperfection, practicing self-compassion, and celebrating progress, we can free ourselves from the limitations of perfectionism and experience true personal transformation. No. 7. Over-reliance on external validation. One of the most pervasive limiting beliefs that can hold us back from personal growth is the over-reliance on external validation. This is the tendency to seek approval, praise, or recognition from others to feel worthy or successful. Whether it's through social media likes, praise from colleagues, or the approval of family and friends, many of us have learned to measure our self-worth by how others perceive us. While external validation can feel good in the short term, it is ultimately a hollow pursuit that undermines our personal growth and authentic self-expression. Carl Jung's theory of the self versus the other is a key insight into why we rely so heavily on external validation. According to Jung, the self is our true, authentic being, while the other represents the external world and others' perceptions of us. When we seek validation from others, we are essentially placing our sense of worth in the hands of external forces, rather than grounding it in our own internal sense of value. This creates an unstable foundation for self-worth, as external validation is often fleeting and unpredictable. Jung believed that the process of individuation, the journey toward becoming our true selves, requires us to move away from the influence of the other and connect with the deeper, authentic self. The more we rely on external validation, the more disconnected we become from who we truly are. We begin to shape our identity based on others' expectations rather than our own desires, leading to a life that feels inauthentic and unfulfilled. Breaking free from the need for external validation requires a fundamental shift in mindset. The first step is to recognize that our worth is not dependent on others' opinions. Our true value lies in our ability to be authentic, to embrace our individuality, and to live in alignment with our inner truth. By grounding our sense of self-worth in our own values and beliefs, we create a stable foundation that is not easily shaken by external feedback. A powerful tool for overcoming the reliance on external validation is to practice self-validation. This involves acknowledging and celebrating our own achievements, regardless of whether others recognize them. By learning to validate ourselves, we begin to rely less on external approval and more on our own sense of accomplishment. This shift in perspective helps us develop greater self-confidence and self-respect, allowing us to live more authentically. Another important step is to let go of comparison. The constant comparison to others, whether in terms of success, appearance, or lifestyle, fuels the need for external validation. Jung's concept of the persona helps explain this. We often create a public image of ourselves that aligns with societal expectations, but this image is not our true self. By embracing who we truly are without comparing ourselves to others, we can free ourselves from the need for validation and live with greater authenticity. Finally, surrounding ourselves with supportive, like-minded people can also help reduce the need for external validation. When we connect with people who value us for who we truly are rather than for what we can do for them or how we conform to their expectations, we create a space where we can be ourselves without the constant pressure of seeking approval. Breaking free from the need for external validation is a crucial step toward personal growth. By grounding our sense of self-worth in our own values, practicing self-validation, letting go of comparison, and surrounding ourselves with supportive people, we can begin to live more authentically and embrace the fullness of who we are. The process of individuation requires us to stop seeking approval from the outside world and start validating ourselves from within. No. 8. Avoidance of emotional pain. One of the most deeply ingrained limiting beliefs that can stifle personal growth is the avoidance of emotional pain. Many of us go to great lengths to shield ourselves from discomfort, fear, or past trauma, believing that emotional pain is something to be avoided at all costs. While it is natural to seek relief from pain, avoiding emotional discomfort often leads to stagnation and missed opportunities for growth. Repressed emotions can accumulate and affect our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being, ultimately preventing us from fully embracing life and moving forward. Carl Jung's exploration of the unconscious mind and the concept of the shadow offers valuable insights into why we avoid emotional pain. According to Jung, the shadow contains those aspects of ourselves, often related to painful experiences, unresolved emotions, or undesirable traits, that we repress because they are too difficult or uncomfortable to face. These repressed emotions do not disappear. Instead, they continue to influence our behavior and decisions from the unconscious, creating barriers to growth. When we avoid emotional pain, we essentially keep these repressed emotions locked in the shadow, where they continue to shape our lives in subtle and sometimes destructive ways. Instead of healing and moving forward, we remain stuck in patterns of avoidance, which prevent us from experiencing the fullness of life. Jung's concept of individuation emphasizes that personal growth requires us to face and integrate the unconscious aspects of ourselves, including the painful emotions we try to suppress. Only by confronting and processing these emotions can we achieve wholeness and move beyond the limitations they impose. Breaking free from the avoidance of emotional pain requires a willingness to confront discomfort head-on. The first step is to acknowledge that emotional pain is a natural part of the human experience and that it does not define us. Rather than seeing emotional pain as a threat, we can learn to see it as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Jung believed that growth comes from embracing both the light and dark aspects of ourselves, and this includes accepting our painful emotions rather than running from them. One of the most effective ways to confront emotional pain is through shadow work. Shadow work is the practice of exploring and integrating the repressed aspects of the self. This can be done through journaling, meditation, or therapy, where we allow ourselves to experience and process the emotions that we have been avoiding. By acknowledging and accepting these emotions, we begin to reduce their power over us and free ourselves from their unconscious influence. Another important step is to practice emotional resilience. Emotional resilience involves the ability to experience pain and discomfort without being overwhelmed by it. It is the capacity to feel the full spectrum of human emotions, joy, sadness, fear, and anger, without being controlled by them. Developing emotional resilience requires developing self-compassion and patience. It also involves giving ourselves permission to feel without judgment or shame. Talking about our emotions with others, particularly trusted friends, family members, or a therapist, can also be incredibly helpful in processing emotional pain. Verbalizing our emotions allows us to externalize them, making them easier to understand and manage. By sharing our pain with others, we also create a sense of connection and support, which makes the emotional process feel less isolating. Finally, practicing mindfulness can help us sit with our emotional pain without running from it. Mindfulness teaches us to be present with our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing us to observe them without becoming overwhelmed. By practicing mindfulness, we can develop the ability to sit with discomfort and emotional pain, knowing that it will pass and that we are capable of handling it. Avoiding emotional pain may seem like a way to protect ourselves, but in reality, it keeps us trapped in unconscious patterns and prevents growth. By embracing emotional discomfort, confronting our shadow, and practicing emotional resilience, we can break free from this limiting belief. As we face our pain and allow ourselves to heal, we open the door to deeper self-awareness, greater emotional freedom, and lasting personal growth. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is a transformative journey that requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Throughout this exploration, we've seen how Carl Jung's psychological insights into the ego, shadow, and individuation process provide valuable guidance in overcoming the internal barriers that hold us back from real personal growth. The limiting beliefs we've discussed, self-doubt, fear of failure, negative self-talk, perfectionism, external validation, comfort zone addiction, and emotional pain avoidance, are all deeply embedded in our unconscious minds. Yet these beliefs are not permanent. With the right tools and mindset, we can break free from them and unlock our true potential. Jung's work encourages us to embrace all parts of ourselves, the light and the shadow, our strengths and our weaknesses. Personal growth begins when we stop hiding from our fears, insecurities, and imperfections, and begin to accept them as integral parts of who we are. By facing the shadow and integrating those repressed aspects of our psyche, we can dismantle the limiting beliefs that restrict our progress. This process of individuation, which involves becoming whole by embracing both our conscious and unconscious selves, is at the heart of true transformation. We also learned that self-compassion, mindfulness, and emotional resilience are essential practices in breaking free from limiting beliefs. Rather than being at war with ourselves, we must learn to be kind, patient, and forgiving. Growth does not come from perfection or avoiding mistakes, but from learning, evolving, and embracing our human experience in all its complexity. Each step toward self-awareness, each challenge faced, and each discomfort embraced becomes a catalyst for change, moving us closer to the person we are meant to be. It is important to remember that breaking free from limiting beliefs is not an overnight process. It is a lifelong journey that requires consistent effort and reflection. Along the way, there will be setbacks, and at times, the shadow may try to pull us back into old patterns of self-doubt and fear. However, every time we confront these beliefs, we grow stronger, more resilient, and more connected to our true selves. Ultimately, the path to personal growth is one of self-discovery. As we shed the limiting beliefs that once held us back, we open ourselves to new possibilities, experiences, and deeper fulfillment. The more we align with our authentic self and embrace the full spectrum of who we are, the more we empower ourselves to live a life of purpose, creativity, and joy. Carl Jung's teachings remind us that by integrating our unconscious with our conscious self, we can achieve profound personal growth and become the fullest version of who we are meant to be. As you embark on your own journey of breaking free from limiting beliefs, remember that the power lies within you. By embracing your shadow, practicing self-compassion, and taking courageous steps forward, you can transcend the limitations that once seemed insurmountable. The only real limits are the ones you place on yourself. When you release these self-imposed boundaries, you create the space to fully step into your potential and achieve the personal growth you've always desired. Now that you have explored the powerful insights Carl Jung offers into breaking free from limiting beliefs, it's time to take action. The journey of personal growth is not a passive one. It requires conscious effort, courage, and dedication. Start today by identifying the limiting beliefs that have been holding you back and begin the process of confronting and transforming them. Take a moment to reflect on the areas of your life where you feel stuck or where fear, self-doubt, or perfectionism are holding you back. Write down these beliefs and challenge them with new, empowering thoughts. Commit to embracing discomfort, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, and taking small steps each day toward breaking free from old patterns. Remember, the road to personal growth is a journey, not a destination. Every step you take toward self-awareness, shadow work, and embracing your authentic self will bring you closer to the life you are meant to live. Surround yourself with supportive people who inspire growth, practice mindfulness, and engage in regular reflection to keep yourself on track. You have the power to reshape your reality and create the life you've always dreamed of. Don't wait for change to happen. Make it happen. Start today and watch as you transform your limiting beliefs into the fuel for your personal evolution. The only limit is the one you set for yourself. Step beyond it.